watching. We want to pray now that, Father, you would bless us in our time. Help us to have a good time as we spend time together seeing the goodness of the things that you've made for our health, for our happiness. And then we're going to look at holiness. And the whole idea, Lord, is it's not about getting more holiness to get Jesus, but truly the only way to holiness is to get Jesus first. And that's what I pray we do today in our study, and that we would grow in our faith and our eyes will see more of your love for us. And so I pray this and we thank you in the name of Jesus, Father. Amen. Amen. Well, let's talk about garlic. We're talking about garlic because it is arguably, probably the most important herb that you could have in your kitchen, which would then make it the most important that you could put into your body because it does so many things. There's some herbs that just kind of taste good, but they may not do as much for our bodies. There are no herbs that do nothing for our body. Everything that God made, he put something in it, some element of life that makes our life better. But then there's some herbs that, they just really medicinal. They don't taste good. They don't really have a benefit to the palate. Garlic is not that situation. Now, I know it's not just going to spend the next 20 minutes hammering, eat more garlic, eat more garlic. We want to show you so that you feel empowered. And we want to show you so that it's not just something that's good for your body. It tastes good too. So now what we'll do is we're going to show you how to make it taste good. And so we're going to show you how to make a garlic infusion sauce. Really simple, easy to do. And while that's working, I'm going to show you how you can go from good to better. The better way to eat garlic is to not cook it, and it's to actually eat it raw, and how you can use that as a seasoning. But then the absolute best way to get garlic in, especially when you're just starting to feel under the weather, or even if you are sick, I'm talking about really ill, there is nothing that garlic will counteract with as far as medicines or things of that nature are concerned, as far as we know. But if you're using it in that way, it will keep you from having to use it for an emergency circumstance, which will then allow you to enjoy it more for a food circumstance. So we're going to work our way up and then backwards. So let's start by working our way up. How can you use it in your food? Now, obviously, you can go get some garlic powder, sprinkle it on your food and be done with it. But we're going to show you how to make an infusion oil that will allow you to take that garlic flavor, and put it into other dishes that may be eaten throughout the week or throughout the day. And the only thing you need to do that is you need some garlic, fresh cloves, raw garlic, and oil. Particularly, we want to refer olive oil, whether it's extra virgin olive oil or just pure olive oil. It doesn't matter really. But most important is that this is a good oil to work with, as opposed to using our number one oil, which is coconut oil. Whenever you're going to turn heat to it, we want to go with olive oil because that has a higher burn point or smoke point. And so we don't want the smoke to obviously get into our food and obviously get into the kitchen. So this is why you want to use, if you're using heat, go with olive oil. If you're baking, go with coconut oil. And that's kind of the principle that you can go with. All right, so now let's take a look at how we can use this. Now, to make this infusion oil that we're going to make warm and that can be cooled later or even eaten while it's warm and poured on your food, you're going to need 6 cloves of garlic. Don't worry, I'm still going to show you how you can use it when it comes to medicinal garlic, getting it in your food, and especially when you're ill. But let's start here with the good, how you can just make a quick oil that's great for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, whether it's a saute, whether it's a soup, whether it's a chili. That's what we enjoyed today for lunch. You can add this oil to it. It's going to give you a good garlic flavor, but bear in mind, you're not going to be eating this to try and get that all-powerful allicin, because the bad news is that when you cook garlic, you actually kill those enzymes or that organosulfur compound known as allicin, which is the powerhouse that really makes garlic the healing herb that it is. So that is the downside to what I'm about to show you. So to give you full disclosure, make sure you understand that. Okay, so now this is just for flavor's sake. I got 6 cloves of garlic here. And when you get a garlic, you usually buy it by the bulb. And most places where I will either sell it by the pound or they're going to sell it in a pack. I prefer to get the ones that are by the pound because the ones that are usually packaged look really pretty. But what I've come to find out is that most of those kinds of garlics are grown in China. And the problem is the standard of the garlic is a little bit different in China than it is in other places. And unfortunately, what we're finding is that a lot of the garlic that's being sold is not actually garlic. Sometimes there's even some kind of synthetic compounds in it, or it's just something else altogether. So personally, I don't buy garlic that's made in China. Now, pretty much everything else, obviously, is going to be made in China, but not the garlic. You want to go for places where it's either U.S. grown. California is known for its massive garlic industry. That's good. Gilroy, California. That's where a lot of garlic is coming from. But anywhere else, sometimes South America, Central America, you should be okay. But American, Central American, or even Southern American, that's what I found to use the garlic that I enjoy the most. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cloves here because I think I accidentally ditched one of my other ones. Now, when you're making your garlic, you want to make sure where your saute pan is cold. How cold? I mean, cold enough that I put my hand in it. So you see it's totally cold because we do not want to burn the garlic when we're making our infusion oil. So what I'm going to do is I've got a cold pan, small saute pan, and we're going to put our oil in there in a second. But to get this cracked or to break it out of the husk, all you need is a flat knife, okay? This is a Dollar Tree special, so you don't need something fancy. It just needs something flat and something firm. The thinner garlics that we cut with, and we're going to show you a second that you cut with, if you don't have one that's sharp, you can get another knife to cut. But when it comes to smashing it, you want something flat. So even if you prefer to use like a spatula, a metal spatula, that's another hack that you can use just so you have more surface area to hit to smash that garlic open. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit on top. That's 1. Turn it to a side so it's not wobbling. That's 2. That's 3. 4, and then the last one. Now, you'll notice that when I do that, I smash the garlic or I crack it. If you want it to be pretty and you don't want to smash it, you will have to take the time to go ahead and peel it. And it's easiest usually not on the end where you see there's this hair, there's like the thing that you hold on to. Here's the actual bulb stem that was connected, the cloves, stem that was connected to the bulb. If you peel here, you basically take a piece from the husk here. This is the end that you want to work from to go ahead and peel it if you want pretty garlic. Now, remember, you say, well, I don't want it to be like this because then it's going to make my hand stink. That powerful smell that you smell is that garlic scent and the oil within the garlic. That's another reason why it's so potent and so good. But again, just because your fingers get that smell, there are a couple of tricks that you can use to wash your hands. We'll talk about that in another video. But one of the hacks that I've seen the work is that when you are washing your hands, not even washing your hands with soap, if you get a metal spoon, like a regular like teaspoon or the spoon that you eat your cereal with, and you rinse your hands in water. Really doesn't matter if it's cold or hot, but you put your hands under the water and you rub it on the spoon, it actually will get that garlic smell out of your hands and off of your fingers. So if you're doing it pretty garlic and I want to peel it, but now my fingers do smell like that garlic clove, you can go ahead and go under the sink, rub your hands on a metal spoon and just get that film off. And that's one way that you can do it without taking all day. Personally, I don't mind the smell. Fortunately, Tar doesn't complain, and so I don't worry about trying to get the smell off my hands. For now, we're going to get the skin or the husk off of these garlic cloves, and we're going to get about 6 of them, okay? So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And here is number 6. These husks that are on the outside of the garlic, they are perfect. They can be used, put in your compost bin. If you're a composter, you can put it on your garden, your garden, and because they're paper thin and they will break down and biodegrade, so you can just throw them outside. But if not, you can put them in the waste basket too. So now we got 6 garlic cloves. We got a cool skillet. Now we're going to get the slicing. Personally, because this garlic is nice, this knife is nice and flat and strong, I don't prefer to use it when it comes to chopping stuff. So I'm just going to grab one of our slicing knives. And now what you want to do is you want to take your clove and you want to put it into thin slices, as thin as you can cut, because that will allow that garlic to really soak out, leach out into the oil. So we're going to try and cut this as thin as we can, okay? Doesn't matter how fast or slow you go. You just want to try and get as thin as you can. Don't stress it. Just do your best. That's 1 clove down. And I've got this nice thin garlic. Because these are crushed, they're going to be in some pieces, but that's okay. I'm more interested in the garlic inside than how they look. Because when I add this to a dish, when you put this into your entree, you're not going to really even see the garlic. So we're more so looking for flavor. All right, so I'm down. I got 2 more to go, and I'm going to show you the difference. This is the crushed garlic, semi-crushed, I should say. And now the one that's, quote, the pretty one that I peeled, this is that whole clove right here. Let's take a look at it. Now, when I'm slicing, as thin as I can, thinner the better. Now, I'm gonna let you look at that. See the difference, okay? So this is a pretty garlic, right? Nice pretty pieces. And this is that crushed garlic that I just smashed, and then I went ahead and put slices through it. So that's the difference, okay? Either way, we're more interested in how it tastes. So now that we've got our garlic sliced, let's go ahead and get this oil working. Now, we got our oil here, pure olive oil. I'm going to take 1/2 of a cup, 1/2 of a cup on a cold saute pan or on a cold frying pan, okay? So now I got a 1/2 a cup here, and I'm going to add that cold oil to the cold pan. This is key because when we set our timer to actually start to toast the garlic, if the garlic or if the oil were hot when we put it in, it would singe it and it would burn it up. And it would look like garlic, but it wouldn't taste like it. And it would not have that flavor. So now I got my cool garlic. I shouldn't say cool. It's not like it was in the fridge, which is okay to keep your garlic. But I got this room temperature garlic, and I got my pan. We're going to take it from cool, room temperature, to medium. All right, so we're going to turn our burner onto medium heat. So now this is when the clock starts, so to speak. And we're going to set our timer for 10 minutes. It takes about 10 minutes to get it toasted all the way through without burning it. You could do it in 5, but you'd have to keep your eye on it, and you'd be really careful to not burn it. I got here a saute spatula. So now I'm just going to make sure that all of the garlic is covered in the oil, because that's our goal. We're trying to get all this garlic goodness out of the garlic and into our oil. Okay, so that's how it's looking. Got everything all acquainted, and so everything is covered in oil on some level. And now the waiting game. I got a medium heat, and I'm going to go. My goal is 10 minutes, but I'm going to watch this every 5 minutes or even maybe every 2 minutes and just kind of move it around. But usually at about 5 to 10 minutes, or when the bubbles start dancing or you see this garlic start to turn brown, it's done. So while that's working to make our infusion oil, let me show you the better way to eat your garlic. We're going to need our cutting board again. And when it comes to eating garlic, why is this better? This is better because this is a no heat treatment. And remember, the caveat to cooking your garlic is that it might taste good, but the allicin, that's that healing compound that fights cancer, that fights disease, fights virus, bacteria, flu, even coronavirus, you name it. Any bacterial, viral, or fungal issue, it will fight it. When it comes to using it, it's best to do it raw. So that's why we're going with the better route. I'm just going to take 1 clove here. And this is really simple compared to what we just did. We're going to take our crushing knife here, as I like to call it. That's not what chefs call it, but that's what I call it. We're going to take our smashing knife, and we're going to lay it down here, and we're going to crush the garlic. Once we've crushed the garlic, it starts to oxidize. This clove has now been exposed to oxygen. And what a lot of studies have shown is that by breaking open the garlic and allowing those enzymes to get released, interact with the oxygen, you actually increase its potency. So for 5 minutes, when we just started our timer a few seconds ago, for 5 minutes, if I'm going to use fresh garlic on a dish to really get that allicin content boost up, I'm going to take my garlic and I'm just going to crush and I'm going to chop it, whether you want to chop it 1 time or whether you want to chop it, switch it around and chop it twice. And let this sit on the plate or on the cutting board or wherever you have it. One of the things we like to do is we have these little cute dishes here. And you can put the clove in the garlic dish or on the plate. Let it set for 5 minutes. You don't have to be sitting there with a Timex and a whistle and blowing the whistle. All right, it's not that deep. But one of the things we like to do too is if you don't have a little timer here, you use a timer on your microwave or by the time you told everybody to come to the table, you said grace and people are starting to fix their plates, that's roughly about 5 minutes time. That's when you know, okay, now I'm going to go ahead and put my garlic on my entree. So whatever savory dish you're going to use. I've never had garlic on oatmeal, but it'll probably work in there too. But any dish that you want to try and include garlic in, take that next step up. It's just as, in fact, it's cheaper than getting the powder. Go ahead and get that clove, crush it, chop it, let it set for 5 minutes, and get that allicin in your body. Because if you do this, say once a day, if you do this 2 to 3 times a week, you're going to find your body's immune system is on a higher plane, a higher standard than if you don't eat it. Personally, I don't eat this every single meal. Let me tell you why. And not because if you do, that's a bad thing. But the reason why I don't eat a fresh clove of garlic anymore for every single meal is because what I found is it's just like anything. I'm all about maintenance rather than repair. And garlic is so powerful and so potent that it can also knock out your good bacteria. It can knock out those good germs that your body actually needs, that your immune system or your gut actually needs. So I want to kind of get a natural terrain to my, immune system that doesn't require this boost. Now, if my immune system is under attack, and if I know that I'm going down, I'm feeling fatigue, I'm getting fevered or something getting sore up in here, that's when it's an opportunity now to say, this is my go-to. This is what I'm going to go to now that I know I haven't eaten any garlic. I'm going to go up. I'm feeling a little something. I'm going to go ahead and get that clove in, and I'm going to be eating that night. Okay. So that's one way you can work it. So you don't have to eat like this every single meal. You don't. Anyone who says you do, that's not really being true to the science, because the fact of the matter is our body has natural immunity. And then we have the immunity that we can enhance or boost. Garlic is designed not to be that crutch, but to be that boost. So how can we take that boost up to the next level? If and when I'm using the garlic for a dish, I've got that setting for 5 minutes, I'm putting it in the dish. Let's jump back over here and look at our infusion oil for a second. We are just 5 minutes in, and you'll notice it's going to hear a small, you can't really see it, but it's bubbling. And if I put my mic here, you actually can hear it. These small bubbles now, bad news is, yes, we are destroying the allicin. Don't think I'm going to eat this and expect it to have the same power as the raw. It's just not the case. But if you were standing right here and smelling what I'm smelling, it smells good. So you still got that garlic flavor that you can use to infuse into that dish. So now we're 5 minutes in. I'm going to go ahead and move this around a little bit, because I want it to be evenly toasted. I don't even really want it to be toasted. I just went right when it turns brown. That's when we know we're ready to move this thing on. So now it's dancing. It looks so beautiful. You got the garlic smell going on here. And so what we're doing now is we're taking out that flavor, putting it into the oil, and we got about 4 more minutes. With that time left, let me show you the absolute best way to get that garlic in. Because sometimes you may not be able to wait until lunch or be able to wait until a meal. So what you want to do, you're starting to feel that pain. You're starting to feel that itch in your throat. You're starting to feel like I'm going down or I don't feel 100%. Here is my best move. I'm going to take this same garlic clove that I would normally wait to put on a meal and eat until I feel better. I'm going to take this same garlic clove and I'm going to take a cup of water. If you're watching previous Change Health, we talked about how to get more water into your diet. I hope y'all been doing that. That's our goal. Not I may, but I will drink more water. And guess what? This water is medicine. This water is health, and is also a way to get the other medicine to go down. You know, back in the day, you used to drink the orange juice to get the Tylenol to go down. How to drink some water to get the garlic to go down. Because if you put this down and if you get this into your system, you're talking about fighting hands and fists, you're going to go from tanks to fighter jets when you put this in. But how do I get this? Some people don't want to chew their garlic, right? Just taking a clove and popping it in. A lot of people don't want to do that. So if that's your situation, take your garlic clove, add it to a cup of water. Now that's okay. If you don't want to go the water route, you can put it in a cup of juice. You can put it in a cup of any kind of flavored drink that you may like. Just remember that sugar is your enemy when you're not feeling 100%. So you don't want to hinder your power. But if you got to get it down, go ahead and get that juice. I'd rather you drink it with juice and have the garlic than drink nothing at all because you didn't want to, you know what I'm saying? So how to do it with water. I took about 8 ounces of water, actually less than that when I'm doing it on my own. I took my crushed clove, I put it in the water, and I drink it down. Now, obviously, I'm not going to be drinking it and chewing it and eating it because I don't really want to do that. I want to get it down. The water's helping me gulp it down. So I'm drinking it down. I'm actually consuming the garlic, but I'm not getting the burn. Don't have to worry about trying to chew it. Almost there. Most of it's there at the bottom. Here we go. This should be the last straw. Now, it might take some practice, but I drank the entire clove, one gulp. Reason why we do that, remember, it's no different when we think of the conventional medicated route. We're trying to get this into the body. This wasn't for flavor. This was for healing. This is for flavor. And we're about 8 minutes in to this saute. The garlic's still dancing. It is not black. Obviously, that would be burnt. We don't want a dark brown. We want it to be just beige, just turning. So 9 minutes in, the fumes, we don't flames. The fumes are still there, and I'm about to kick this down because the reality is that as long as it's in this oil, it's going to keep cooking. So how can you stop it? Well, one, that is to turn off the stove and to take the heat off, but it's still going to be cooking in that oil. So a couple things that you can do. You can take your water. You can take 1/4 cup of water, because remember, we put 1/2 cup of oil in here. You can take 1/4 cup of water, pour that into here, and it'll stop the cooking process on the garlic. Another thing that you could do is you could literally take this, and if you have a strainer, you can take the strainer and separate the physical oil from the physical garlic. And then that oil would be the oil that you would use, and it would have no water in it. So there would be a couple of options you could go. For now, I'm just going to bring this close to you so you can see these garlic pieces are just starting. Just starting to turn color. There's our timer. It's just starting to turn, and that's the color that you want. You don't want it to be burnt. There we go. And we don't want it to be darkened, because what will happen is when it gets burnt, it tastes bitter. And then we blame the garlic for taste. Oh, you taste bad. Like, no, the garlic said, I don't taste bad. You just overcooked me, right? 10 minutes. And now we've got a delicious oil. You take this, any savory dish that you make, chili, soup, greens, cabbage, whatever, any vegetable, you can take this. Remember, it's hot, so be mindful of that. Take this, pour it into your entree, stir it up. You're going to see your flavor go from here to there. Because what we did is we didn't just use some processed dehydrated powder, which is okay, but this fresh smell, this fresh flavor in your fresh food, it's going to be on power, and it's going to be good for you. Now, this is good. This is better. Getting it straight in, that's best. So garlic 3 ways: good, better, best. I hope that this was helpful to you. Again, we are trying to get these things into our diets and into our healing mechanisms that the Lord has made for that purpose and intent. And so I really look forward to seeing what you do with your garlic oil. If you got some new ideas, if you have any questions, please swing them our way. But this was fun to make. This garlic's looking so pretty. I want to show it to you one more time. It's at its height right there. At this point, we want to either put some water in. At this point, we want to put some water in, or we want to just go ahead and put this into our dish. We don't have a dish to make or to show for today, but so for now, I got to turn off fire, let that cool on the side, and use that oil. It will last anywhere from 3 to 7 days, okay? If you want to just use it and store it for later. But it usually doesn't last, if not in the moment when we make it, because you can take this same oil right here. Maybe we'll do that for another video. You have a classic aglio olio dish, the Italian pasta, where basically you make some spaghetti, however you make it, and you pour this over it. It makes a great dish. And in fact, it's actually the #1 way that native Italians actually eat their pasta in Italy. No marinara, no tomato sauce. This is the most popular way that they eat it. And so that's another way that you can eat this to get that garlic flavor in. But I hope you actually go in this route too. Good, better, and best whenever you eat it. Amen. Good times, everybody. With that said, please remember to share this with somebody else if you're watching this video. We appreciate the time that you're taking.